Yo, week 3, 217 podcast. Hopping back on here with the boys. Gonna recap Illinois men's basketball. Also look ahead of what Illinois got coming up. New guest this week, Brevin, one of my closest friends from back home. One of the guys that grew up with, known since pretty much birth. Brev, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and your favorite teams, who you root for, and what you're all about?
I live over in Bloomington, Illinois, go to ISU, so fuck the thirst. No, I'm just kidding. I've been an Illinois fan my whole life, so Illinois football, basketball, stuff like that. But NBA, I like the Bulls, but I like the Warriors too. I'm a Steph fan. And then NFL, NBA, or NFL, MLB, go Chicago, go Cubs, go Bears, fuck the Packers. Yeah.
That's damn right. Fuck the Packers. We keep that immediate on this channel. We do not like the Packers. Last week was a fluke. I don't know how those guys joined the podcast, but no, I'm just playing. Griff's back on this week. He'll probably be a frequent guest, pretty much co-host. He wanted to get back on here this week, talk a little ball, he's got pretty good insight of the game and Illinois fans in general from yesterday. So without further ado, we'll jump right into the UCLA Illinois game. A game that Illinois looked like, from the jump, it was going to be pretty close. They kept it close for a little bit, started to pull away around that halftime, start of the second half. But really just they looked like the better team. I know Bildo kept them in the game with, some clutch shooting. But besides that, it really was an Illinois game. You saw that having all of our guys back healthy was huge. What do you guys take away from the UCLA game as I pull up the box score?
Brev, you can go.
I watched most of this game. I don't think I saw the entire game, but I just struggle watching Illinois play in the second half. I feel like every other team we play makes some type of halftime adjustment, like we talked about, and we just don't. Like, it's the same thing repetitively. Like, teams just come out and beat us in the second half a lot because we don't make those adjustments. And I have the box score pulled up here too. 25-31 in the first half, but then each team put up 50 in the second half. Like we were talking about a little before we started, just about how bad our defense has been. And it's going to start. It has started to cost us games here lately. But I have like the two big lineup I didn't think I would like. But recently I think with Ivicic shooting, that kind of keeps the spacing well enough that I think it's an interesting lineup and it seems it works a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with Brev. Honestly, I thought it was a good game all around. I had work. I watched a little bit of that work, but I watched the last 8 minutes of it, and we just can't close a game. We were up 16 at one point, I think, in that game, and we let them come right back in the game. We just got to, I don't know. Brad's got to use his timeouts. Brad's got to learn how to coach down the stretch a little bit better. But other than that, I thought it was a good game. I thought everyone played well. Still don't think Ben should be getting, 35 minutes. That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Ben should not be on the floor. If he's not making shots, he doesn't need to be on the floor. But
I'm not so certain. These threes, I can remember one of the threes, but it's so hard for me to watch him play the game the right way because it's you're playing him at the 4/3-ish, and the way that the opposing small forward, power forward attacks the rim, and it feels like he gets out rebounded 3 or 4 times in a game, and they just grab the board over him, more physical. And I just don't understand what exactly you're trying to get out of him in those situations where I understand, if you need to space the court, you can't really put Merez out there. Even though I saw a video of him shooting threes yesterday before the game, that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to play him 35, I just don't understand why you play him 35 minutes when he is a minus defender, a minus rebounder. He's out there to shoot. And I'm not going to lie, they were preaching before the season started that this dude was going to come in and just be an absolute sniper. And 2 of 5,
And that's that's a great day for him to.
Yeah.
Like,
and it'd be different if like him playing that 4 position, like if he's getting bodied on the other end, giving up points, rebounds, he's still playing hard. That's fine. But like he can't even take a big off the dribble. Like he's not even creating his own offense when he's got a mismatch. Like he can spread the floor and they're putting like bigger dudes on him. He should be able to take him. He'd be able to at least go and get a bucket whenever he wants.
Yeah, because
he's more athletic than any of the guys guarding him.
If you're getting beat on the defensive side because you're small and you're not taking advantage of it on offense, then you're just wasting space out there.
Yeah, like I wish that this box score would show the plus minus, because I almost can guarantee that, 9 points, a steal, a block, 2 assists. I mean, he doesn't turn the ball over, but it's like that's because every time he shoots the goddamn ball, it's like every possession he doesn't have a chance to turn the ball over because he just chucks. And it's like, I mean, this being 2 of 6, it felt like he could have been 2 of 10. I mean, it just feels like every time he shoots the ball, I'm like, why are you shooting that? And it's just, there's no continuity in the offense. I mean, Brad's trying to do the same thing he did with the mask last year, a bigger guard, but it just doesn't work because this dude, like we said last week on the podcast, he doesn't move anybody when he's in the paint. And then he ends up, the thing that was so good about Damask was that when he would do the booty ball and he would get into that defender, he could fade away and hit that shot, or he could create enough space to where he can go up and under and through them. Ben just takes the fadeaway and clanks it off the back rim every time.
Yeah. He had a -2 plus minus in that game.
I mean,
he played 35 of what?
35 minutes.
35 of 40 minutes.
I also think I like to see Dre get in a little bit more.
I think he's still trying to catch his breath from the sickness.
I know, but I think like when we go on like we'll get into that, but when we go on like that 8-minute scoring drought, he's like instant offense. You can get him, you can get him a bucket, and if he gets going, he can give you a quick like 5 or 6 off the bench. But
I agree, he provides that spark off the bench, and it feels like we're missing. But then
and like his energy, like he gets everybody going,
especially in Champaign. Like when he gets going, like that place goes.
He's like a mini Trent, like back in the day when he's trying to get everybody going on defense and slapping the floor.
I just think, and that, I mean, we'll get into that a little bit later on this, but our defense at times, I mean, you look at this box score and you see you held a pretty talented UCLA team that, has been, they're one of they're 6th right now in the Big Ten. And I mean, you held them to 78 points, but realistically, if you're keeping them to 78 points at home, you more than likely lose that game on the road. I mean, that's the whole thing about it. I mean, and it's just, if this dude is 7 of 12, it wasn't exactly like he was rising up and just hitting some crazy shit. He might have hit 1 or 2, but for the most part, it was like he's just getting quality looks and is just smacking this every time. And I know Brado said last week that Bill Doe was going to be one of their hot hands, and I mean, he got off to a pretty good start and didn't look back and ended up with a career high 25.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we talk about the Michigan State game, but him and Kohler just played that. I felt like I was watching the same game. Like those two did the exact same thing as offensively against us.
Yeah.
And I'll just never understand, like, you shoot 5 of 15 in the first half, and then you shoot 6 of 13 in the second half. It's like, why in the world are we shooting 28 threes when, I mean, this was one of our better shooting games.
Best shooting games of the Big Ten season.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think this number, the points in the paint's got to be higher. And I think your bench points has to be higher. But I hate this number. I hate shooting this many threes when,
But that just goes to show, like, what we shot 39%. Like, if we shoot around 40%, I think we can beat any team in the country.
Correct.
But
it's just we don't do that.
I talked with someone about it. Like, we shoot so many threes in play so fast that we can beat anyone in the country, but then at the same time we could lose to anybody in the country.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that, I know it's just a metric, but if you look at that like triangle of excellence thing where it's like it takes offensive efficiency, and defensive efficiency and combines it with your pace of play. It's like Illinois is like not in that triangle because they're so heavy on the offensive side because they play at such a high pace and their defense doesn't catch up. I mean, it almost feels like we're trying to – I mean, obviously we're not Alabama, but that's the same way they play. It's just like Chuck, get back on defense, give up a 2, come back down, hit a 3. I mean, that team is built for a shootout every single game.
That's why, and I don't think they're – and I mean, I wouldn't say they're that much more talented to us, but they're built for that. I don't feel like this team is built for that kind of play style.
100%. I 100% agree with that.
And I mean, UCLA is one of the better defensive teams in the nation, honestly. Like, they're a good defensive team, but we
I hate their coach.
Yeah, Mick, whatever the hell his name is.
If you want to blame for next year,
he's like, I had to see Statue of Liberty 3 times in a week. They get to come out here to Cali.
Yeah, what? Like, who cares? Who cares about your Statue of Liberty? I mean, I just UCLA isn't someone that I'm sitting here thinking like. I mean, they were streaky for a little bit, and
they're a good team, but they're not. It's a team we should beat.
What they won like team that before that game.
Yeah,
it's a team that we should handle, in my opinion. But I mean, it's just, and then, yeah, I mean, Kofi. It was cool having Kofi come back. At least his banner was upright. That was pretty nice. I'm glad that we played well that night, but it doesn't shy away from the fact that, like, we're gonna get into this, and I just wish that it was any other night. What were you saying, Griff?
You guys were talking about like pace of play and stuff, and I just think like Brad buys into like the analytics shit too much, like the 3-point, like how much 3-pointers we shoot and how fast we play. Like sometimes we need to come down and just run an offensive set and like actually fucking move the ball instead of just high ball screen and just every time. You're good, you can go. But it's the same, like we run the same offense every time, and like then they start hedging the screen, and we're still doing a pick and like fade. Like we're not rolling, we're not like nothing. Like there's no roll to the basket. We do the same pick and fade every time down the court. It's just.
And we talked about it, I mean, before we started about Michigan State game too. Like when Izzo takes a timeout, they come out in a set or like it's an out of bounds play. We have the worst sidelines and baselines out of bounds plays I have ever seen. Yep. We have more turnovers on out of bounds plays than I can.
I mean, it's just our out of bounds is literally just throw it up to our big and let the guard come get the ball.
And if you're doing that to run it into a set, then do it, but we don't go into a set.
Yeah, I was just looking at it's actually called the trapezoid of excellence now. So they have gone away from the old triangle and have gone to the trapezoid. And I was looking back to see the difference between this year and last year's pace versus like it's like adjusted offense versus opponent defense. And last year we were a little bit lower on the net rating for adjusted opponent defense than Purdue, but we were higher in offensive efficiency versus pace of play. So you look at it this year and those two numbers are like completely like the pace of play versus offensive efficiency is completely almost in the right-hand corner, while your defensive like adjusting and playing against other people is like way down low. Like we're almost to the, like, if you cut it into fours, we're like in the bottom of the top right-hand corner. So we're like right here, where last year we're like right up here, which is where you want to be closer to that like 50-50 line. And so, I mean, last year it worked because you had a first-round talent that had been there for a lot of years. I mean, Terrence was a guy that could just completely take over a game, and we also kind of had the pieces to be able to do that. This year, you know,
we also had veterans on that team too. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we also had veterans.
No, you're good. That's what I was about to say.
I mean, it's hard to. We just don't have a leader, I feel like, right now on the team.
Yeah, and I mean that's going to be difficult because of the fact that, you know, you're returning one player.
Mm-hmm.
What were you saying, Brev?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the Big Ten is tough, and then trying to attack it with 7. I don't even know how many freshmen we have, whatever the number is, and then all these transfers. Like it's a new team every year, and we've seen it worked. It worked last year, and it's worked before. But our one returner is tough, especially when that one returner just got 7 minutes.
Yeah,
really. I'm gonna leave off the UCLA game with something that's gonna go into the next one, but I don't understand where Trey White is at. I mean, he was a starter for. I mean, he started I don't know how many games, and now he's just completely gone. Like he's not even on the didn't even get into the rotation yesterday. When I mean, yeah, he's not exactly a sniper from 3-point range, and I don't really love the way he shoots the ball. But he is a guy that is going to come out there with a high motor, high intensity, get some boards, get some scrappy defensive buckets, and just attack the glass. Which yesterday it felt like we just settled for so much stuff. It was like, oh, the high ball screen didn't work, and now we're just going to run around the perimeter for 3 seconds and have Ivasic and Johnson just keep continuing setting screens. When they're hedging it, we have to retreat dribble, and we're not really doing anything to beat that. So I would like to see what happens with that. I personally think Trey White deserves the minutes that Ben gets. And I think you should, I understand giving more minutes to Will Riley, but there's got to be a spot for a veteran dude like Trey White to get in the rotation. I understand he was sick or undisclosed, whatever that was a couple weeks ago. But I think he's got to get more minutes. I mean, he's just got to get in the game. He was definitely an X factor for us. And I mean, that's how I feel about it. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Griff.
I agree with you. I mean, I honestly think we were just talking about that. We don't have a guy to step up, and I thought a couple of those early Big Ten games, I thought he stepped up. I thought he stepped up and led us in some of those games, especially when KJ was struggling, and then he goes down with illness, and then now it's he's not playing. There's no injury report. There's no there's nothing reported on it, like you said. And I don't know. We've seen Brad do this before with guys where he just keeps the same. He has his guys that he likes, and he keeps them in. I mean, there was a couple years ago we run off Podzimski. He goes to a mid-major program and then goes in the first round because we played a veteran dude in DeMonte Williams and the older guys over him, which I understand that you want to have guys like that in the game, but I don't know if that's another situation we got going on but I mean, we don't know everything and you can't really say what's actually going on, but he does need to be in the game. And I thought he had some big minutes for us in a couple of those games. So
yeah, I agree. I feel like you said you never really know what's going on internally with the team and what's that situation is, but for him to get no minutes is something that I was appalled by, especially starting at the beginning of the year and carrying us in those certain situations and then just going to not getting anything at all, especially when in a game last night's where that other team's on a 16-0 run, or then they're on we don't score for 8 minutes. You got to try something different. Yeah. Obviously, it's not working.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't know. We might not ever know. I'm sure it'll eventually come out somewhere or another. Feels like it always does with all women's basketball.
It's kind of weird too, because Trey White seems like a Brad Underwood guy. He's a rebounder, he's a hustler. He's not. He doesn't go out there to chuck shots and get his own. He actually plays within the offense. So I mean, I liked him when he was playing.
Yeah, so it seems like he's a better DeMonte Williams, and we love DeMonte Williams.
Yeah.
But yeah, switching up, we're gonna go to the Michigan State game from last night. I know we're all pretty frustrated by it. I know that there was definitely chances that we could have. I mean, you start out on it was 31-15 right off the rip, and then they kind of wheel it back into just under. I think it was at half. It was 37-41 at the half. But really went really cold down the stretch.
Sorry, you keep going.
And I just think that to win a game against a coach like Tom Izzo with that team, I mean, I don't think Michigan State's uber talented. They don't really shoot the three well unless you just somehow manage to catch them on a night where they do. But you kind of like that's the thing that frustrated me the most. It's like we saw the same song and dance 2 weeks ago where they just run to the rim and get foul calls. But I mean, it just was like our defense didn't understand the fact that, I mean, for example, Cohen Carr, that dude is going to take one hard dribble and go straight to the rim. He's athletic, and he's going to do it every single time. We still guarded him on the three-point line like he was like prime 2016 Steph Curry. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? But then we don't guard people, and we just allow – I mean, you know, in college basketball and the NBA, if I see a white dude, I'm going to close out hard on him because no matter what, I'm pretty sure he's going to be the dude in the corner that is going to bomb this thing and probably hit it. And we just acted like this dude was like, I don't know, Zach Edey. Like, you got to respect even – I mean, he shoots 25% from three. You still have to respect that. I mean, that still means if he shoots 4 of them, he's going to hit 1 of them. You still got to respect that.
They shot 5 for 12 last night, and Kohler hit 4 of them, and he shoots 25 on the season. I mean,
yeah,
that's just tough.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the box score right now,
and I think a lot of it is. Go ahead,
go.
A lot of it is like we talked about earlier. Like our pick and roll defense has been horrible, and for a team that's all you do offensively, so you practice against it every single day, and we're struggling against a shooting big. You practice against Ivasic, who's a shooting big every single day. How do you not get that set in stone by now? But
yeah. I just think every time we have a game like this where we're up big or like we should win a game, it just our age just shows. Like you can't. Our age is just so obvious in games like this, and it sucks. But like, I don't know, like you can't do much about it. Like we just don't have a guy. We don't have a veteran guy to come in and like, and I think Kylan tries to kind of be that guy, but I don't know what it is if he needs to be more aggressive in games like that. But like when KJ and Riley are like, I mean, those are guys on offense, and that's understandable. But like when we're on that stretch of 0 for whatever we were, and then just coming down and chucking threes, like someone has to step up and like run a set or do something, like get into something, get in the post. Like it'd be different if we were chucking threes off like a post touch, but it's like we're doing dribble step backs or just like off a ball screen or off a screen, chucking it in. It's not a good offense, and I think it's just our age that shows.
Someone's got to step up and be the guy, and I mean it should be KJ, but it hasn't been so far, I feel like.
And I like when KJ gets downhill, and I thought he did a good job of that last night. But I don't know. I wish we could get some more post touches. Honestly, I hate the dribble step back three. Or like, I mean, if you're hitting them, you're hitting them. But
if you're not,
I'm never gonna like that shot. I mean,
and I don't know. I mean, what was it when we went on a little run? We got up, and then Merez had that big block. And then, like, you have the crowd into it, everything, and then we just completely shut down. Like, I don't know how you do that. Like,
I mean, on that possession, for example, I mean, first of all, you get a steal. Okay, cool. You push the ball, and you come down, and you shoot a three. And it's like, okay. And then you get the offensive rebound, and you shoot another three. And then you get the offensive rebound again, and you're – 17-year-old runs to the rim, and your center essentially blocks him. And then they tip it out. They get a 2-on-1. Merez comes up and has a huge block. And then it's just like all of the wind just like flies out of the sails, and it's just like over. It's just it doesn't even seem like these dudes care. They're just like, they go over and they help up Merez, and nobody's like hyped up. You know, I think one of the reasons why I like Drake Gibbs-Lawhorn so much is like he provides a spark, like you said earlier, Griff, that nobody on this court. I mean, you don't see. The only time KJ's ever got upset was when he got a tech against, I don't even know what team that was, when he got that dude was talking shit to him. I think it was Little Rock. I think it was at that game. And you just don't see that fire from anybody else. I mean, it just seems like these guys are like, they almost, I mean, they act like professionals because that's how the NBA, even then, they're still emotion. But like last night, Jason Richardson or whatever, what Jason Richardson's son is, when he made that fast break dunk, I mean, you just saw like life. Like he's talking crap to the crowd, getting into it with them. You just don't see that anymore. I mean, and I think that also comes from the leadership and being young, but there just seems like there's no fire under these guys' ass. And I mean, Brad is, a couple of years ago, he got posted all over Twitter for yelling and screaming at, I think it was Terrence. And everybody's like, this dude's a clown. This dude's a clown. It's like, no, he's just trying to fire these dudes up, trying to get something going. But these guys they just seem like they don't care.
Yeah, I agree. I understand like college basketball more than any other sport that is played is a game of runs.
Yep.
But you got to figure out how to minimize those runs. Like you can't be having 16-0 runs or an 8.5-minute stretch without scoring the ball, without putting the ball in the hoop. You take all of, like we talk about home court advantage and how big that is in college basketball. You take that away if you don't score for 8 minutes, your crowd's not going to be into the game.
Yeah.
It's just a tough game. I mean, I already said what I said and what I thought, but I think our age just showed, and we got to have a guy step up.
Looking at the box score, I mean, it will forever and always be Death, Texas, and some dumbass dude going for a career high against Illinois. I mean, this guy averages 7.5 points per game and comes out and has a 23-point offensive explosion, which is his career high. Has a double-double, which he's never done. Even the exhibition game I looked at, he's never done this. And he comes out and drops 23 and 10 like he's like, playing in the NBA for the Lakers on just some random night. And I mean, 4 or 5 from 3, whatever. This is why I will forever be a hater of Michigan State, but also like 5 of 12, you win a game, you score 79 points in this game, and you shoot 12 3-pointers. That is, I mean, you're getting to the rim. They didn't shoot as many free throws this time because, I mean, if you look at the other box score, I mean, they shot 26 free throws, but they shot 27. That was ours. And this Tom Izzo team, they come out like Brevin, we were talking about before this started up. They come out every single time running a set play. They look like they know what the hell they're supposed to do. They get to their spots. They run off screens well. I mean, it just looks like there's just such a big disadvantage, like in the fact of Brad Underwood's scheme on how to defend these guys versus Tom Izzo's offense. I mean, it just comes down to it. I don't know if it's the assistant coaches that are calling the stuff. Like, I mean, earlier we were talking about how Tyler Underwood pretty much draws up all the plays. And then I know on Twitter, everybody's talking about some younger dude that's drawing up the defensive scout for this. And it's just like, if that's the case, then, I mean, you're only like everybody's preached in college football, for an example, that you're only as good as your assistants. And if your assistants aren't good, then you probably aren't going to be very good either. And I think that's pretty true in every sport. But I mean, it just looks like sometimes we don't even know we don't know the out of bounds plays for them. Like we got beat on a backdoor last night where it's just like it's just pure laziness. And I mean, it's just bad basketball when you can't win at home when you are up 16 points. I mean, you come out in 31 points in the first 6 minutes of the game and then just absolutely shit the bed the rest.
Yeah. I mean, I love being that team that's like we have been the past few, we're really dominant and but I mean, really haven't had that win streak that we always go on in later in the seasons like we have been the past few years. But I mean, I will say this team, nobody wants to see us in March. I will say that. It's just about how fast we play and how many because like I said earlier, I think we can beat any team in the nation. And I don't think anyone wants to see us, but we also can lose to any team in the nation. So
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it sucks because like I said, we've been so dominant the past few years and it's been fun to watch, but I think this team has a lot of potential, but it's going to be tough. We got to figure some shit out.
Yeah, it sucks just because knowing that you don't have these guys next year, obviously Will and KJ at least are going to be gone.
Yeah.
And those are extremely talented kids that will be great players, but you're not going to get to see them. And like Braden said, Akins and Holloman combined for 22 points. I know Michigan State doesn't really. I mean, I'd say Akins is their guy, but they don't really have someone who carries them offensively or defensively. And so I feel like that's tougher to defend against, but letting Jackson Kohler dominate a game like that is something you can't let happen.
And I mean, that's not even the first time we've shut down like one of the main guys. Like when the Alabama game, would Sears have like under 5 points or something like that, or 0?
Yeah, I don't think he scored. I think it was like the first
he scored at all.
He scored or something.
We shut down a guy, and it's just another dude steps up against us, and it's tough. But I mean, we got to figure out how to play around it. I mean, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Mark Sears had a goose egg.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that similar play style, like Grant Nelson Grant Nelson's more athletic than those other two, but he plays that same role that Kohler and what's the UCLA guy's name? And just getting those, pick and pop threes in similar situations and dominating a game against us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brev, I 100% agree. I mean, this is Brevin's comment, but I don't think we're gonna have the funds to be able to do that. I think he's gonna be a first round guy, and I think that he's young. And I know what I would have done for a couple $1 million at 18 years old.
I mean,
I just don't think. Yeah, I'm just saying by the time
any NBA GM's just gonna look at a 17-year-old that's 6'7", he's got a loose handle, but basically can do everything on the floor. He plays good defense, and
he's played very well lately. I think he's developed a lot in these last couple of weeks. Like Big Ten play has toughened him up,
and I think like I said, like he's a good NBA player, and I think he does. I think he will be a good NBA player, but I think he does need to come back. But I don't think he will, just because, like I said, like NBA teams are going to be looking at 17 years old and can do what he can do on the basketball floor. It's just, I think if he comes back, it'd be big for us. Like, it'd be massive.
Yeah, I mean, if we couldn't keep Kofi for his senior year,
I
don't think we're going to keep this kid that's uber talented like this. I mean, but yeah. Let's deep dive into this box score. I know it's kind of tough to look at.
What's our team looking like?
That's what I'm getting to. First of all, you play. I mean, look at the depth that Michigan. I mean, this is what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 dudes versus 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We played 8 guys, and I don't even think you should really count this Drake Gibbs Lawhorn 3 minutes. It felt like he didn't play hardly at all. It's so tough to look at because it's like you're turning the ball over 11 times, which I mean that's one of our lower games.
Yeah.
I mean, and that it's just this should be. I mean, first of all. This dude is so talented, but 2 of 9. I mean, it just feels like after he had that wrist injury or forearm injury or whatever the heck he was out for a little bit, he has just not been the same from 3. And I don't know if it's because they're, it's kind of like that thing where in the MLB when a rookie comes up, they tear it up for a month and then they figure him out. That might be the case for how the Big Ten was with KJ. But like 2 of 9, you can't shoot. First of all, you can't shoot 5 of 15 from the field. And you definitely can't shoot 2 of 9 from 3. Yeah. I mean, you just can't do that. You end with 17 points, but it's like, okay, yeah, you shot the ball 15 times.
Yeah.
Like I said, like he just is so efficient when he gets downhill and like can get to the basket and get his free throw line points. But like Merez's game, like he had a monster game, like and his energy, like we were talking about earlier, like he's a young guy, but he does bring energy and I like it. But Ben 0-6, Tommy 0-4 from 3. We get
and we talk about that, like having those bigs to space the floor, you can't if you're not helping it out, you're not making shots. Then you got to.
Jake Davis came in, and I thought he had good minutes. Like he gave us some offensive spark when he came in, and I mean, 14 minutes for him is decent. But I mean, you can't tell me that Ben and Jake. I know there's a size difference, but you can't tell me they don't they're the same guy basically. They come in, they shoot, and they spread the floor. If
Yep.
Ben's not making them, keep Jake in the game or bring someone else off the bench. Like it's tough to watch.
And I think if you want to play Ben in that role of being a shooter, then try him with both Merez and Ivisic on the floor. Like if you think he's a shooter and he should be a shooter, then that's not hurting your spacing. Then he's got a 3 on him instead of trying to back down a dude that's already bigger than him.
Yeah,
I agree. I just think that one of the big things that stands out to me, Kylan Boswell was brought here to be the next good Illinois point guard. Everybody was pissed off he left when he didn't commit to us in the beginning. He went and had I would say, pretty okay career at Arizona. I don't think he was necessarily like something magnificent. He's a great defender, but like 0 points is just – if you were going to score 0 points in 29 minutes, you held their guards to like little to none, but you have to score the ball. Like, I don't even think last night I felt like he ever had an opportunity where he was like, I'm looking to get downhill to score, to get a bucket.
He's someone that you just like – I feel like I forget he's on the floor offensively.
He's just like goes down and like he'll bring the ball up and then he's just looking instantly for KJ or Will just to let him take the ball. And I don't know. And I don't know. What was the lineup we wrote out? I didn't see the starting lineup. What did we roll out?
It's right there. It's the stars right there. You see it. It's Yakachonis, Merez, Ben,
and the thing I don't
Kylan.
I don't mind that lineup, but the thing I don't understand is Brad on Twitter already said there's no reason to bring Dre and Will
off the bench.
They do the same thing. They're both like offensive like sparks. And then we win a couple. We win like what 1 or 2 in a row with the lineup, and then we go back to a lineup that hasn't won us games. So I don't know.
I don't know who you subtract. I don't know who you add.
I like the lineup when we rolled out with KJ, Dre, and the 2 bigs, and KJ. Yeah, the 2 bigs, and then the lineup we rolled out like 4 games ago.
Like the Minnesota game or the Nebraska game, or
when
which
Dre
one
was in the starting lineup, and then Will came off the bench, and Kylan came off the bench, and I like that.
I think that was the Nebraska game or the Rutgers game, one of the 2. But I also like that. I think
it was the Rutgers game.
I think it's just got to be one of the 2. Like it's either got to be Dre or Will.
Yeah.
That's
and I think you got to start giving Will his flowers. In my opinion, he's been one of our better players for a while. He did not deserve to play the minutes he was even getting. He was just awful. But the last couple of games has really just been a bright spot for Illinois. Looked really good. It doesn't. Yeah, like you said, it doesn't make sense to bring both of them off the bench because you can't play them at the same time. So. And you want to give minutes to both, why would you just, why wouldn't you just start one or the other? I don't love the defensive liability of having, Yakachonis and Will out there at the same time, even though they're better defenders. They're just young, and against a team like Michigan State, who they're going to exploit the youngness and like back cut, get really physical down low. But like you're coming into a game with like Wisconsin where, that's a game that you got to win. But I would like to see, first of all, I'd like to see Ben Humrickhouse not play 30 minutes. I'd like to see 10 come in there, put him in the Jake Davis role. And I'm sorry, Jake Davis, you can play if Ben is playing like shit, but I don't understand why he gets so many minutes. I just don't. Griff, can you look up his plus minus for this game? I guarantee it's awful.
Well,
this game Tuesday it's a huge game.
I think we go 0-2 in the next 2 games. Like I don't see us winning either of those. So see how I watched that Purdue and Wisconsin game, and Wisconsin is on offense that's a good team.
They
like
are.
Purdue
looked legit.
Yeah, Purdue's like a set team and they run their offense, but Wisconsin honestly beat them at their own game, on their own court. It's pretty good game to watch.
Yeah. I think the big thing that changed in this game, obviously, We've got it written down, but 1 of 16 in the second half on 3. Just why? Like, I don't understand. Take your money and run with 6 and 17 in the first half, but 16 threes, like.
I think we started the game 3 for 4 or something from 3.
Yeah.
So the rest of the game we were 4 of however many.
I'm looking at the plus minuses right now. We had no player that had every player was in negative.
I figured that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had the 0 of 15 down the stretch. Didn't score from the 8:30 mark of the second half. And just you can't win games like that. It's pretty much, we saw where we played the best team in the nation last year, and they went on a 30-0 run, and it's just like it's over. I mean, you can't do anything about it. It sucks, and just baskets weren't falling. But there has to be a time where Brad Underwood's like, "Holy shit, we're 0 of 15. You got to realize that. Call a timeout. I don't even know. Somebody in. Put somebody in.
A little bit.
Switch something up. Get something going that's different." But I mean,
he falls in love with he wants to play so fast and he wants to have these timeouts at the end of the game for certain situations. And I get that you need to have a timeout at the end of the game, but you're putting yourself in a bad position if you leave it for 8 minutes and they're on a 20-0 run.
Yeah.
There's no point to even have, what are those timeouts going to do? You're down 10 now with a minute and a half left. Cool. You got 2 timeouts left.
I mean, it's a tough game, but I hope we can, in this next showing, we can bring. I mean, I hope we can see Dre and Trey White. I don't know like we said, we don't know what's going on with Trey White. I hope we can see both get some more minutes.
It has to be something similar with Dre because he has been getting good minutes and then to just completely disappear.
And I don't know what I don't know. We've seen it with Brad before with substitutions and playing the starters like 30 plus minutes every night. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we get all these recruits and we get these guys and our bench is deep and it's like I feel like we don't use them sometimes and it's I don't know.
Yeah, I 100% agree. This is my last thing on Michigan State, but I absolutely, respect the hell out of Tom Izzo. I'm sure that a lot of guys would love to play for him, but I just think he's the biggest crybaby bitch in the world. I mean, the entire game is just like they pan to him and he's just like, and it's like, dude, I understand you got to coach your guys, but oh my God. And I know I said something during the game, but like when Kylan it's a rebound. I understand it's a loose ball, but if that were to happen to a Michigan State player and we were to elbow them, I guarantee Tom Izzo gets literally just blows a gasket and gets the refs to go to the monitor. They end up calling a foul and, because we end up losing possession on that and they come down and they get an and-1. And it's just like that to me. And I said it the other night, I actually told one of the guys that I work with, I was like, I guarantee Indiana beats Michigan State because they don't – it's like Bobby Knight, his old team ain't going to lose to be the new best coach in the Big Ten, most wins all time. And I was just like, of course it had to be against us. I
think in that game, which Michigan State is like – they shot 5 of 12, and that's a good night for them because I think against Indiana, I don't think they hit a single 3. They did. I don't think they made a single 3 in that game. So I mean, but Illinois, I don't know. We just teams like that who play Michigan State doesn't play fast. Like they run their offense, and we play so fast. It's like we should never lose by that many points to a team like that because how much faster we play than them, we should put up more points than we were. And then I know we went on like an 0 for 15 stretch and that sucks, but
yeah, we ended both halves. I mean, obviously the second half was bad, but we ended the first half on a horrible stretch too. They went on that 15-1 or whatever it was right before the end of the half.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys got anything else you want to add before I want to start doing this at the very end of the the little podcast. Just a shout out of the day, something that you guys want to shout out. It could be stupid as hell. Could be anything in the world. I'll give mine. I'm shouting out the Eastern Illinois women's basketball team. They are 11-0 at home this year, and that's exciting to watch. I love when a team that is not necessarily like the most talented in the world, but they are like they get together and they win games at home, and that's exciting when a team wins at home. And I know Illinois men's basketball has not been great at that this year, but like I can only imagine Purdue, like they were, I mean, before this last stretch, but being 10-0 at home in the Big Ten, like that is something that gets a lot more people into the stands, gets asses in seats, and I mean that's my shout out of the day. It's fun to watch. What you guys got?
I got a Tanner, just everyday guy. He just shouted out me, but shout out my boys last night for getting me out of the ditch when I slid in there in the snow. Tough night, but you know what? We battled through adversity.
Everyday guys.
We're the real everyday guys. Like Brad Underwood know.
Yeah,
we show up.
Everyday guys.
My shout out of the day is to Kansas losing 2 out of their last 3, and to fuck Bill Self and Hunter Dickinson. They have kind of tore up some of my bets here recently, but just love seeing Kansas lose. Love seeing Hunter Dickinson lose. So that's my shout of the day.
All right. Well, if you guys don't have any more closing notes, we'll wrap this one up. Look into week 4. And I'm not sure. We'll probably just recap Illinois men's basketball again. There's not a whole lot of stuff going on in the world right now. Football's obviously over. Looking ahead to baseball season, but that's still about a month away. But yeah, just gonna recap the Illinois game. It should be an exciting week. And hopefully we come back here with a more positive attitude on next Sunday. Not sure who will be on. I'm sure it'll be anybody who wants to get on. We could have as many as 6 on here. So just to look ahead. But yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for coming on. It's always a great time talking to you guys about ball, and we will see you guys next week.
See you, boys.
See you, man.